248-539-9797. We got this from a listener. Cranky Tiger fans. Here's what happened. The Tigers were white hot. The weather got nice. It's Mother's Day. You had a fantastic bobblehead collectible. Then the team didn't hit. We got guys tweaking things. People had issues getting bobbleheads. Now everybody's cranky. Flaherty sucks and the season's over. That's a pretty extreme take on what's going on, but there might be some truth in it. You know, this was probably their biggest showcase weekend they've had this year. And Scuba was so good on Friday night.
It's great.
But correct me if I'm wrong, the bigger crowds were Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, they had 28,000 on Friday, 40,000 on Saturday, and I think it was like 35 yesterday for Mother's Day. Huge crowds for Saturday and Sunday, and a nice crowd for a Friday night. They had the fireworks. I thought for sure they were going to have more people. But, hey, and a school start to boot.
I don't know if everybody's cranky, but there certainly is some crankiness today.
Yeah, it was cool to see that people came down to the ballpark in droves this weekend, and I'm hoping that continues this week for these games against Boston. Now, it's harder because school is still going on, and
right.
you're not going to get all the families out there on
for like weeknight games.
Yeah, for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday games, but it is Boston. You know, Alex Bregman is coming to town here. Mm-hmm. Boston has a situation that is brewing with Rafael Devers refusing to play first base on this team. And there's a lot of intrigue with this.
How do you think Bregman gets treated?
Booed lustily. He turned down the Tigers.
Yeah.
He said, thank you, no thank you.
I mean,
I could absolutely see him booing. I mean, I think they should boo him today.
He's done everything that, he has exercised his right. And anybody can, choose whatever they want. However, that was a pretty outward rejection. Right? I mean, this guy, I'll be intrigued. We talked about what would happen with Javi, and Javi was polite applause. Golf clap was
it was really like that, yeah.
Yeah, we were kind of wondering if Javier Baez would get a huge reception.
I think it kind of got lost. I think his first at bat when he was announced, I forget if the Tigers had just scored a run, so it was kind of like being drowned out anyway. There wasn't really much, but people did not. They were definitely not a standing ovation or anything like that.
Right. Okay, so now Alex Bregman. I mean, for those that were paid attention and dialed in the offseason, you probably were well aware that the Tigers were in on Alex Bregman for, okay, so the season ended like what, late October or whatever? It felt like they were in on Alex Bregman from the end of the season until the beginning of spring training, heck, midway through spring training. Tigers Bregman, Tigers Bregman, Tigers Bregman. Didn't happen. And yet they were always involved, always considered a leader, always a strong contender. And now I'm in this weird place where F this guy, I hope he was terrible. No, wait, I don't want him to be terrible because I want it to look like the people running the Tigers knew what they were doing and we're going to sign a pretty good player. He's having a very good season so far. Bregman.
Yeah.
And so is that a feather in the cap of credibility because our team desperately wanted a veteran guy that has had some down years? Right now, he is off to one of the best starts of his career, really.
Yeah, and I think we said this back when it was talked about he's going to go to Boston, he's going to go to Detroit, he's going to be Chicago, that, you go to Boston, you're going to put up great numbers because of the dimensions of that ballpark. I mean, he could just pepper the wall. Double after double after double. I mean, and he's a really good baseball player.
248-539-9797. There is a huge initial rush at Taylor Swift concerts to be the first one to get to the merchandise booth. That's from John in Lake Orion. Thank you, John. Good to know. Lisa in Macomb. We were gifted home plate club seats for Mother's Day. It was awesome. We were in our seats for 80% of the game. Lots of people were only there 25% of the game. The club is fantastic, actually, but there's a good walk between club and seats. So it seems like a lot of people stayed right in the club, which has a nice vantage point. It seems like two different cells, the club itself and then the seat. If the seats had better service to them set up, you could just sell them that way. The food and staff were really great yesterday. We enjoyed the view. Okay. Now they're trying to, correct me if I'm wrong, right now the home plate club is a temporary setup, and they're working on the underneath part.
I think they're still working on the the part that's under the stadium. Yeah, all that stuff is still being worked on.
Sorry, I didn't know we'd be talking about this today, and it's getting some traction. So I'm not really well schooled in the home plate club and where it's at with the construction and what if there are any shortfalls or it's just not simply finished yet. Chad in Midland writes in, champ Paul Pierce for actually following through with walking after his bold-ass prediction. Chump the Cleveland Cavaliers for absolutely disappointing playoff performance. Yeah, the Cavs last night were embarrassing. Pierce followed through on it, huh? Kang, do you know the details of Paul Pierce? He actually followed through and did the walk?
Yeah, he did it, and he live streamed most of it. That's why. So people started coming up to him. And in L.A., I'm not sure if TMZ or sent one of their guys or had, freelance. I know he saw Kevin Garnett leaving, I think, the studios at one point. Mm-hmm. Saw him in the street. Hey, Paul, is that you?
Okay.
Yeah, it's me.
So what did he said? If they lose this game, I'll walk home from work?
In a row, barefoot. But he wasn't barefoot. He did that would have been terrible. So it was about 20 miles, I think.
I'm looking at this here. He jogged the final few steps of a 20.2 mile, 7.5 hour walk to work on Thursday afternoon at the Fox Studio Lot Building 101 in the Century City area of Los Angeles.
That's got to hurt. That's got to be painful for a long time after it. To walk 20 miles after you've already had an incredible Hall of Fame NBA career where, just the pounding has to take a toll on your joints and all that. A long walk like that is not going to feel good. He's going to want a cold plunge.
He got up at 5 a.m., and the TV show was set to air at 2. So he did it and said, I hope I can inspire my Celtics that we can get back in this series and pull this series out. Good for him. Good for him. It's a solid champ vote. What's the longest walk you've ever done?
Probably, I don't know, 6 miles, something like that.
Okay. I did a 12-miler once, and it'll,
I don't know.
You got a little bit of a limp, but all good.
Yeah.
All good.
I'll do some sort of map my walk thing when I go to Vegas. Because just walking up and down the strip in Vegas, it's a lot of walking to do. So I'm just curious at how much walking is done.
There's a difference too between just like walking around, like the mall or something like that, than actual like he went from point A to point B.
Yeah.
That I think that's a different type of walk.
Oh, that's a walk with a purpose.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not
just aimlessly walking around. Yeah, looking at whatever in stores or grabbing a drink. No, this
having somebody spray a scent at you. Dodging that.
Well, in L.A., to get 20 miles can sometimes take 7 hours in your car. So maybe walking's the better alternative there. And speaking of the NBA, we'll get into this Giannis stuff, which is kind of blowing up today. We'll do it right out of the gate in the noon hour. 248-539-9797. Did my Modelo review earlier in the show. Yep, I had the Modelo over the weekend.
You had 2 of them.
I had 2 of them. I want to try the Especial because I'm not a big fan of their darker beer. But the foil, if you peel the foil off before you open the bottle, yes, it is a nuisance. If you open the bottle just with an opener, you can get most of the foil, if not all the foil, out of your way.
Maybe here's the problem that I've had with it. Anytime I've had it, most of the time, I said the last few times I've had it, I actually bought a 6-pack of it, but it's been in a restaurant. And when they serve it to you, because I usually get the Negro Modelo, the darker one, at a Mexican restaurant, and then they'll have like a lime wedge already in the top of the beer.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm looking at the thing. I'm like, I got to get rid of some of this foil because there's too much foil that's still attached to the lip of the beer bottle. So that's the issue I've had with it. I don't know. Maybe I guess that's different because and you're opening it. Obviously, they're opening it with bottle openers. I've opened it with bottle openers, and there's always some foil residue. Now you only open up one other bottle.
Yes, and it was fine.
So maybe you got real lucky with how clean that bottle opened up for you.
You think that was it?
I think it might be.
248-539-9797. All right, coming up. A prediction I made, Gator, was dead wrong. And I'll own it today at 12:01 here on Karsch and Anderson on 97.1 The Ticket.